So I will circulate it with the notes. And I suggest, here we are, and we are live. See, I roll my hands around so I know when it's live. Welcome, welcome, Kristen and Jennifer, Linda. Whoa, I knew we'd have a crowd. Tuck in, come on in. We'll make some tea. Hello, Felix. Welcome. It's lovely to see you. Ruth, how sweet. So, welcome, everyone. I'm Barbara Etienne with Projectkin, and joining me today for this very special wrap up of Roots Tech 2026 is none other than our dear Myrtle. So many of you, of course, know Dear Myrt for all she has done in our Roots Tech ride along. And we are, as Ginia bloggers and Projectkin, we are the ride along partners. I think maybe we need a theme song.
Mariachi off in the distance.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, they like that. Oh no, somebody's probably asking AI to don't, please don't. Just kidding. So at the end, go ahead.
I want to know what it was like on the outside looking in from the virtual attendee's point of view.
Absolutely. In fact, well, I think most of you watching were like me out here in the cheap seats. Um, but we're all eager to hear about your 3-day extravaganza. Do you mind going first?
Okay, I'll go first.
Hey, Lori.
I had a ball. Hi, Lori.
So she just broke my rule. It is not all people who were riding along. There is Lori from On-Site.
She helped in the booth, and I'm sending special kudos. She knows what I mean about today. So we booth, and it was in the society. Well, they used to call it Society Hall, but when we got there, the sign said Society Pavilion. And we were situated so that the second floor of people could look through the windows down on top of us and all the other societies that had tiny little booths. We were not separated by tall 12-foot backdrops. So we could see, it was like a beehive of activity.
And that's a good thing, right? Yeah.
So next to me were people that were, it was like a surname group, a specific family with common ancestors. And when I went there, aside from their bigger monitor hooked up to a computer, they handed me a notebook, all organized with little tabs. Are you on the descendant of the daughter number 1 or the son number 3? Awesome. There were genealogy societies, different things. And I spent most of my time in the booth. Oh, great, I'm on low power. Let me plug in my. That's because I've been this. But do you want me to tell you about the people?
Please.
Okay, just 1 second. I'm so sorry, guys.
That's
hold it in my
okay.
hot little hand.
This is real life.
All right.
Okay.
That's how the videos were. And a lot of people have watched the videos that I've sent out because I've seen the numbers. There were people who were already blogging, and they could have been on any platform. And remember, you and I believe whatever platform floats the boat, we happen to like Substack. And luckily I know people in all those platforms, so it's good. We could have a real conversation. They wanted to know how to increase the exposure and they did it because they used to send text messages or email to their family members, and they recognized those disappear quickly. Wanted something permanent. That's why they had a blog.
Mm-hmm.
And we had all. They'd pull up their phone and showed me their blog. And then there were others that wanted to put their big toe in the water to see what is this. And somebody else said, "Oh, you'd be a great genealogy content producer." And the person would say, me and the other one who knew her, who was her best friend, said, "You know cool stories. You keep telling me about your ancestors." And Barbara, I knew you were there in spirit because it's all about the story, isn't it? Yes.
I mean, a
So that's what I got to do. Yeah.
storytellers are as old as the campfire, right? And we were
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about this before, a good story has its rise, the moment of tension and the crescendo, but it also has the next one that picks up after it.
Mhm.
And the really good campfires are when the stories go around and around and around the table. And in
Mhm.
my view, the closer I get to this, I think of genealogy as the framing of the house. Right. It's got the foundation, it's got the frame, it's got the pieces are solid. It's not gonna blow over.
Mhm.
But
Good.
inside, you get the furnishing and the things that make it give it the character, that give it the stories. Those are the stories that
Oh,
hold it
yeah.
all together. And somewhere are the subtle differences between, wallpaper and window dressings and actual sheetrock, right? I don't know where that line goes, but there are sometimes little bits go on the inside that don't really reflect the truth of the outside of the building. But that's why it's so important to
Mm.
make sure they are solid, um, because generations will build upon it. And when there are untruths to that, then the
Mhm.
whole thing gets further and further out of whack and is at risk of just toppling over. Can I ask you to move your camera just a little bit because on the mobile view, there you go. Thank you.
Well, but it's like I've got my phone
Yep,
plugged in, so it's
that's it.
kind of hard. It
I know.
might fall suddenly,
That's
so
okay.
I'll try
It
my
adds for the
best.
drama. That's that little rise, the rise, the rise. Stay tuned, everybody. We're going to watch and see if it happens. See, now,
I'll
now
try my
everybody
best.
cares. Now the tension is there.
So I had a conversation with a gentleman after we closed up shop today at 3 o'clock, and he was saying that he figured out that when people come to this conference, they get overwhelmed because there's all this software you should use and that website and stuff like that, and that's family history. But he said, when you cook your grandmother's lemon cake recipe, that's family history.
Looking
When
at you,
you
Lori. Looking at you.
Yes, that's for you. Hi, Lacey, I see you there. And,
That's exactly right.
it's how you take your grandchild fishing because your grandpa took you fishing.
I'll show you
That's
how to
family history.
tie I'll show you
The
how to
fly?
tie the fly, and always remember it's 3 times around the
Oh, yeah.
campfire, and then you pull and you blow it. Gotta remember to blow it. I don't know.
Yes.
I've never tied a hook. I have no idea, I'm making this up. But it's the point, and here's Linda. Linda, another one with baking grandma's recipes. Having ways to carry those stories forward and feeling, I mean, I think the collaboration is important when you know you're doing the right thing. It tells you that this is important. This is a good thing. You're not off in some little corner with some weird obsession. Oh, sorry. Whack the cat. What you are doing is important and it's not always valued within a given family, especially when
That's
there
true.
are those distorted stories. You don't want to go digging in there. You don't need to know, right? Whether it was a story of poverty, a story of incarceration, a story of horrific abuse of all sorts of different things, those happen. Those are
Enslavement,
real.
etcetera.
Enslavement, yeah. And finding ways to make it okay to go and understand. You have to have a heart of empathy to get in there and understand. And you've had some wonder. I just listened to your last video, which I just popped up to the website. I mean, you've had such wonderful community connections among the many videos. In fact, all of you, I see you out there, um, making contributions and sharing what we're all seeing. I don't know. This all feels different than it did before Roots Tech. Do you think?
Oh, definitely. I think this road that we took to Roots Check built momentum. You helped build the structure of this. I'd say, could you put a little bumper sticker on the blue car on our,
I
and you
didn't
do it
make
in a
bumper
snap.
stickers. We should make bumper stickers. Now that I have
Actual
the
bumpers.
Yeah.
Yes, we should.
Hey, y'all, what should the bumper stickers say?
I don't know. Oh, man. The other
Hmm.
thing that, I figured out to do, you'd think I'd know how to do interviews after, how many years have I been talking to people? Somebody says, "I agree completely. That was a great experience." Yeah, being there. Um, One of the things we tried to avoid was commercialism. We didn't wanna do product placement type discussions, but when I was invited to an early breakfast this morning, oh my gosh, it meant we had to get up around 6:15 in order the whole thing. Um, this person she has a whole cadre of researchers. What are you gonna say?
I rode along at Roots Tech bumper sticker.
Oh, that's a great one.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yeah, you gotta do that. We gotta save it. Write
On
that
it.
down. She's on it. Anyway, it occurred to me when I entered if I wanted to interview this woman who has this whole cadre of researchers that work for her, and they take professional client research as their task. What if I just have her come talk about a particular document that she ran across that's not maybe the normal document? And then and I can just mention that she's so and so from such and such.com. That way there's content, but I'm not pushing her business down anybody's throat. So that might be a way that'll be something we'll do differently next year. But that's
Yeah.
all I could do to keep up with people. Th
You know,
They wanted selfies, they wanted, and I was trying so hard to get our picture, our logos in the
oh, you're good. You're
background.
good. Well, the thing,
And half the time you were up on the
I
screen right
know. I felt
behind
like
me,
I was
Barbara.
there. My rule of
Well,
thumb
you
for
were, it was part of the whole plan.
part of my the I had to have a simple rubric for what kinds of things I would grab and pump to the page, to the ride along partners page.
Yeah.
And that worked. I
Mhm.
did have a technical issue that I can talk about separately because it's a technical point about what I might do differently later. But I made a simple rubric that anything of anybody talking about their experience at Roots Tech, let me find it, send it to me. I know everybody was busy and forgets to send it to me, so I decided that if you posted it and I saw it, then you intended me to have it. To post it because I was,
Mhm.
I hope,
Mhm.
only doing good, only sharing it more broadly. And so I
Mhm.
took every one of your videos, for example, and I took every one of, things that I was finding, all of these wonderful roundups and roll ups. Thank you very much, Jennifer Jones, for example. And I see you, Kirsten, all of those kinds of things, pulling them in there because they were brilliant and they were sending me back in the next day to look for more. And the
Mhm.
commentaries that I had, thank you very much. Bill, as we chatted before the watch parties, for example, sent me off
Oh,
to go
how did
do
that
something
work?
else. Well,
Yeah,
Bill, you may be able to drop a few comments in here, but I thought they were great, and it was absolutely a last minute thing. You have no idea, but it came off.
totally.
And from my end, it actually wasn't that big a lift because all I really had to do was to create the event, create the Zoom event, then put it back the other way, and then start the call. Um, and remember that I had to do that. But once those got going, I think it had a great conversation. There we are, Kristen talking about. I love chatting with everyone. I heard from Bill, having chatted with you, and they got better as they went along. Today's sessions were wonderful, and Bill, you were telling me about Dyer, right? Nicole Dyer's talk about DNA, which I am not ordinarily going to go pursue, but in the context of Airtable, and that took me directly to the whole topic of all of these plugins, add-ons, API-based integrations into all of the different tools that are out there. So what you're looking at in Airtable today, oh, by the way, it's already in Google Sheets. I just didn't think to look earlier. So there's that's the answer on all of these things, is how to get other things leveraged. I mean, we hear that among developers as well.
So it would expedite the work that you had to do. I agree with Bill. Nicole always does a great job.
Absolutely.
And I liked that my cousin Jennifer here showed up in the backdrop on some of my recordings. Right. So next year, we're going to have a much longer video where there are these short little excerpts from our interviews before Roots Tech, Road to Roots Tech.
Right. And I could have, I'm here. Can you hear me? You're the one.
Dear. Yeah, you
paused
froze up for a minute.
Okay. We're all here. Everybody here? We're all here.
Testing.
Yeah, we hear you just fine. Yeah.
Okay.
It tells me that your internet's a little wonky for the moment. You may have somebody else downloading a video next door.
You never know. It says I have 5G and that I have 4 or 5 bars, so that's not bad. By the way, until today, I could easily upload a 5 to 6 minute interview directly to YouTube and then be ready for the next interview.
Wow.
So that tells me, and that gives me time to breathe between them.
Mm-hmm.
And I just use the record button. That way, as opposed to trying to live stream to YouTube, because I knew internet could be wonky if suddenly 5,000 people came in the hall.
Right.
It was never thousands and thousands of people in the hall, expo hall, where you couldn't maneuver down a row like it was a couple of years back. Like maybe the last big one, I think, was March 2020.
Right. And the video that you had was, as I recall, about 15 minutes long, something like that. And I put up captions with all of it. Did you have it with the sound off the whole time?
Yeah, I left the sound off. It was too confusing because our table was 4 feet wide. My monitor was actually spilling over on each side of that. And it was interfere with the conversation that my next door neighbor would have. So I left it off, but the closed captions came through fine. What drew the most attention to the booth was when I was there with my phone on a tripod and I used that little mic, just a little fuzzy little.
These are a couple little eyeballs.
I know. I should. Because they were curious what was I doing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they could tell, except for the one I did by myself, that I was interviewing this person next to me because I'd moved the mic over there. But that was a type or a sample that they could emulate. And that was one of the points of having this booth, to show people, use whatever technology you've got, baby, and do it. It's easy.
There's a really important lesson, I think, I've seen over and over again, is that if I tell somebody, oh no, you have a story to tell, just go tell it into a video. Not going to happen. It's never going to happen because you feel like an idiot talking to a screen all by yourself. And we've had telephones for so long, you actually look like an idiot talking to a telephone all by yourself, but we're just used to it. What works though, I mean, we forget, right? Remember when cell phones were new and people would be walking down the street talking to themselves? It seems so odd.
Crashing into other people.
Well, that too. But it is so powerful to talk to a person. to talk to somebody else. And in the process, you're creating a record. You're creating you're capturing that story. And I know from doing these live streams all by myself at the very beginning, it was painful and terrible video. Don't look. But as you got going, it was interesting. And Jennifer Jones, a little plug here if you don't mind. Jennifer Jones comes along and says, "Hey, how about we have people tell their own stories?" And we came up with the Speaker's Corner, which, by the way, our live stream tomorrow morning, or rather tomorrow in Atlantic time, is none other than Jennifer Jones speaking to our guests. Help me out, Jennifer. It's speaking, or you can look in the calendar, speaking to our guests ahead of next week, Thursday's program. And the idea of recording and telling your stories, my Stories 250 program, is the same idea. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. You'll have your document. You'll have the framing of your building thank you, Crystal. This one's well, I'll come back to that in a second. You'll have the framing of your building. And now when you speak the story, it doesn't matter if you get a few facts wrong because you'll gloss over it because you've got the other document. It's okay. It's the passion that you bring to it. So our speakers coming up next week are our very own Crystal Lorimore and Kelly's last name. Kelly will come to me.
You've been working 24/7 this whole time, and so have I. It's amazing we can even stand up here. But I digress. One of the things
Cedarfield, Kelly Cedarfield and Crystal Lorimore talking about these migrations of the families, and this picks up also on some of the live streams that we've had talking about this incredible region in Ohio, the American Midwest, and all of the stories of those migrations through there. I'm sorry, go ahead. Thank you, Jennifer.
Okay, now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, the thing is, you notice on Mondays with Myrt, I do show a branding graphic. And when I do mini Myrt for these interviews beforehand, I'm using a computer. But when it was just the phone and no intro graphic or anything else, that's the kind of saving of memories we want to have happen.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's what I was proud to show people how to do. Plus, I had a blast talking to people. I discovered the lady who figured out she wanted to do the history on the women that carried the mail to the soldiers in the front during World War II. So the wonderful women of the 6888. They happen to be Black, and they happen to be the president said we're going to have a Black. Let's let the women in, and the Army shunted them all off into one unit. And look what these brilliant women did. And the woman that watched that movie was there 3 booths down from me. And I'm like, Gordon says, you have to talk to her. Mr. Myrt, as you all know. And he smiled a lot, I got to tell you, this whole week. But anyway, I went to talk to her and found out she just galvanized some of her friends to do the research on each one of these women, 850 women. And they traced through newspapers, and they knew from the enlistment, the name, the birth date, the birthplace, and where they mustered in. Well, that was enough for them to follow their life afterwards, and that they were just incredibly capable women. We hardly ever hear about that, let alone for a person of color of any type. So,
Projectkin needs to talk to her.
When I was talking with the editor of Family Tree Magazine US, I said, have I got a deal for you? And I got his card and gave it to her, and I gave her a copy of the magazine because she didn't know about Family Tree Magazine. And I said, you hightail it over there. There is an article in the mix. And the whole week was like that. We can help people network and help each other out.
There are so many of these kinds of stories that are coming in. And I have to say, I apologize. Looking away to another screen, coming back to this one, I lost the chat. So I saw a long message from one of you. I just flew by, so I can't speak to it. So help me out. Please repeat that message. I think it might have been you, Lori, or Jennifer. I'm not sure. um, but each of oh, wait a second. I pardon my screen. There you are. Lori is saying, I still remember my folks crossing the street when someone saw someone talking to himself. Yeah, no, that's right, because they thought it was weird.
Yeah, it
to
was
be
weird.
crazy people back in the day. Um, but it is that kind of storytelling that can just be transformative. I think I want to talk to your friend of the 6888 because I can see that kind of a very obviously very talented a team to recognize the power of a crowd. If everybody we know does this little piece of work at scale, we can do this really big thing together. Obviously, it helps a lot to have a structure existing of a church group or other kinds of affiliations that bring people together.
Mhm.
But there are many such organizations who are eager to do pieces. And when they start to realize how they can pull that together, and Lori, I am thinking of you and your remarkable story about Annie Diem and working together on the Century Safe. Y'all can read about that in her Substack, which I will pass down here, the LoriOlsonWhite.substack.com, because
But
it is,
you
again, a
I got
story
to
of
see her in
carrying it forward.
person.
I
I got to see her in person, and Kyla. I mean,
know.
honestly. And you and Jennifer were over my shoulder the whole time. Bill occasionally. Yeah. It felt like we were all together, but not together. Roots at Roots Tech, not at Roots Tech. Oh, you ran an organization like that. This is what we did. This is what we did when we decided let's collaborate. We have the same
Yeah,
goal, and I'm
that's right.
proud to have
We're
been
all
part of it.
paddling together.
The thing I have to
Where's this?
compliment you on,
Uh,
we're gonna do Kumbaya and row, row, row your boat. Is that the next one?
just trying
No,
to
I
decide if it's a
really
canoe
want to.
or a rowboat.
I know. I have to compliment you in particular. You understood what it's like to be on the Roots Tech floor there in the exhibit hall. It's a zoo.
Yeah,
People pull you left and right, and you love it
yeah,
because these are your people, the people
right.
that care about preserving family stories and sharing them, because somewhere up and across, and the sister and the uncle and the brother-in-law of so and so, and then there's the connection kind of thing. But when I communicated with you, I didn't communicate with you very much. I'd say, "There's a new video. It's such and such. There's a new video. It's this." And you did your part. And every time you were positive back with me, not adding to my stress. I had some health issues here, but you are a good partner and were very patient with me. And always sending kind thoughts my way, and that helped me a lot. I did the best I could to get the information to you, but I was tired, and that's how I am at this age. I don't have the
I,
energy I used to, but I
I
loved being here, so, no.
as the corner there, holding the fort down, and with the assistance of your local team, Lori, Kyla, and so on, and your friends popping
Mhm.
by, and the beloved Mr. Mert, pulling all of
Yeah.
that together, it made it feel like all of us were there too. And
Good.
that was, you asked earlier, what was the experience like on the ride along? See, it was that sense that we were right there with you, that we were coming along to get there. And so much of the show you can't possibly, we made our little list of things that we're going to do. There was no way that was
Mhm.
actually going to happen. And yet, I guess we needed to believe it would from the start. And so many thanks to everybody making those suggestions ahead of time, because that would not have occurred to me. I'm so glad I did, because every moment of pause I had, I ran over there like, oh, what am I going to do now? Oh, wow. And I usually couldn't put more than about 5 or 10 minutes into whatever it was. but at least I had something I was continually coming back to and making forward progress. And every now and then I run over and look up another idea that I had to look up, some other factor of my widow, is my current chase of where I'm going. And that
Mhm.
made a huge difference to me. And at least my feet don't hurt. I slept in my own bed. I had my own dinner. My feet don't hurt. I got plenty of liquid. My cat is not stressed out. So honestly,
It
it was easier. I
Well,
I
I
have been
appreciate it.
there.
Yeah.
Hydration, I was thinking about that, the last Roots Tech I was at was 2020, which was a big one. Um, and if we were a brand new startup, we didn't have software, and we were pitching our little hearts out, all day, every day, 3 of us filling this 10 by 10 space. It took me 6 months to prepare everything from handouts to booth decorations and stuff. And I came home with the flu. Actually, the last day, I
Mm,
was very close to pneumonia, hacking. It took me another week to recover, but my co-founder was sick for 3 weeks afterwards, and then a COVID,
mm.
of course. So I am relieved because it takes a lot out of you, and you handle it so well. You've got such a support network of being there, and that is indeed part of it. The watch parties, I'd say, was a big surprise to me. I did not expect that. Kudos to you, Bill, for suggesting it, encouraging it, and stepping right up there to make it happen. We were chatting very briefly before we got started about how we could support multiple, watch parties. Heck, by next year we could have a formula, a little document of so you want to host a watch party. Here's what you got to do. And
Mhm. We
the
have 3
network
accounts between
we
us.
have, and that's just us. I mean, I'm sure there's many more out there as well. The system for it took me a minute to say, am I okay to put other people's events on my calendar? And then finally I said, of course. So
Because
glad
they're
I did.
public. They're public and they want the word to get out.
Well,
Yes.
but actually, for me, it was realizing that I have a calendar that other people are looking at, and I can
Mhm,
help them see it. In other words,
mhm,
I had
mhm.
no sense that I actually had something that was a town square, and that was quite satisfying. So I'm very glad we did that, and yeah, we can think about ways to extend that.
One thing that did not work was beyond our control. The recording booths were not plexiglass. They were isolation booths. Like if we were doing the $64 million question, you remember that game show where they put somebody in an isolation
Ask a
booth so they had
question.
no idea? And, I think it was Lori that tried to do a live stream with you,
That
and
was
you couldn't see her.
we called it the Blair
So
Witch Project.
okay. And, yeah, they put a blue string of lights around the
What
top
were
of
they
the
thinking?
ceiling where it met the walls, and it was a soundproof booth. It totally if it had been the plexiglass panels and they were seeing people would walk by and see people in there interviewing people, that would have been what I ended up doing in the
Yeah,
booth. Luckily, I
yeah.
happened to have that tiny little $9 microphone thing, so
I
I
need
could
one of
hook
those.
it up to my phone so you could hear despite all the sound going on. Um, we wanted to make that happen, and they still don't quite get it because Family Search came around and they said, "Next year, we're putting in bright white light and a computer." Well, even though I like Lori or Kyla, I don't wanna be sitting that close to them for
No,
any length of time. Plus, you have to get in and out. I would have to get out of my wheelchair, climb up
up on the
4 or 5 inches to get into this thing, and then find well, you would immediately be falling onto the chair. So that did not work, and even and as they had told me, I needed to come in early on Tuesday to sign up all our people that were interested, and I had about 23 different time periods to fill up, not counting me, and they didn't have the paper on Tuesday. They said, "Come on Wednesday." didn't have it on Wednesday. They had it on Thursday morning when we were already now active with people coming to our booth. So
Yeah.
Lori's the only one that I know of that other people opened the door and closed the door and walked away.
Claustrophobia is a thing. My
Yeah,
goodness.
it said
Bill
recording booth on the side, but that
Bill
didn't mean
has
anything.
a simple idea. It should be ADA compliant.
Yes, absolutely.
And remember carols in the library? Carols, right? The little wall things?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They probably in fact, they probably did this. There's probably a sale on discount plexiglass panels because of COVID, for heaven's sake. Every grocery
Yeah.
store, right? And,
Yeah.
all you need to do is you take a thing the length of a door or the length of a 6 by 3 table, and you screw the little plexiglass all the way around it, and you thought it was an outhouse. It's
You thought it was?
hysterical.
Oh, Lord. That one I didn't hear, but
But, that's
somebody said it
because you
was a
just need 2
timeout
people
chair.
side by side, and you don't need a computer,
Yeah,
you need a side by side, maybe even give them a complimentary little mount for a camera that will look at both people,
yeah,
and you're good to go. In
yeah.
fact, I don't know, tearing him out of the family yeah, I'll bet they're tearing him out of the family, search library, to do
Search
that.
library renovation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's a good idea.
When my
Well,
daughter
all I
got
know
married
is
at the courthouse, they still had their plexiglass, COVID barriers up, and they would have she was getting married in the courthouse. She'd go up to the registrar, kind of take all the personal information. It's the personal information of birth dates and all this kind of stuff. So it's always personal information.
yeah.
Plexiglass panels on either side. There's one person on one side and then 2 people, because you're getting married, on the other. Oh, maybe 3 for the witness. That was me. Um, and it's
Mhm.
just so easy to do. Mert, I think there is a Project Kin special or maybe a recipe event where you will describe your strategy for these little mini interviews. Because
Mhm.
with enough guidance, anybody could do this. And they
Mhm.
will stumble a little bit, they'll wish they did something differently, and they'll get better the next time. But there is a
Mhm.
masterful list, including the little $9 microphone. I've seen lots of people use those. I don't know exactly what it
Mhm.
is. That
Mhm.
you know how to have that microphone, and is it corded? Is it plugged
It
in?
had
Do you
a
have to have a
30-foot cord. I had to, like, wrap it all up, and then overnight, it would do macrame, and I'd have to untangle it. It was hysterical. Ugh, but it all worked, and
Yeah,
I think we ought to figure out a way to do our own plexiglass panel. I
yeah.
really do.
Yeah. So my point is
It
that
didn't
yes,
matter.
we're talking about this at Roots Tech, but the same thing applies at your high school reunion. It
Mhm.
applies at your family reunions. It applies at the church party. It
Mhm.
applies at the historical society. And the result is a set of videos. Now, it's a whole separate conversation about what you could do with those videos, including archive it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Just because it's a video doesn't mean you throw it up onto YouTube and you're done. So, I think that's the kind of thing that in part is the passion about why it's so powerful. But in part, it's the technical how to that's not really all that technical. And you already
Well,
have the phone.
let me ask you a question. I would always test my phone to be sure that the sound was on before the person came, and when we were in the public, the person put their chair right next to my wheelchair. In fact, one of the ladies, I had my arm around her, so that didn't bother us because there was a whole rest of the world going by. It just
Right.
felt natural as
Yeah.
opposed to being in. Was the sound okay, or did I
Sound
hold
is
the
great.
mic too
Oh,
close? It
no.
was
No,
good?
no. In
Then we
fact,
don't need.
it looked to me as though you were more bothered by the noise than we were. We could hear it. I guess it's a condenser mic on the little
It's a little
little imp.
lavalier. It's a
Yeah,
little
it
lavalier mic
it
that plugs in.
worked right. It worked very, very well. You can go back and listen to the videos.
Yeah.
And here, by the way, you can see all the videos now at rightalongpartners.org/recordings, and they're all right along the left. And depending on whether you're using a mobile device or not. But
So we
the
don't need
subtle,
plexiglass. We just need
well,
people, because other
everything,
people will think they need plexiglass,
you're right.
and they don't. They need a $9 mic.
Yeah, but there is still a formula to giving people permission to what the simple things are to be looking for to put together.
Yeah,
For example, you don't
yeah.
need fancy promo graphics because the most important part are the faces. I mean, look what
Mhm,
Substack does. Substack knows this. If when they first started doing Substack Live, they had little
mhm.
pictures of the two speakers that they just happened to catch at that moment, and we were all going awkward. So now they run their AI and they beauty up the picture of whoever the speakers are. And my glasses, for example, always look metal or whatever. But I personally don't use those because I'd already established my own branding for those title graphics and I got it down to a science. But
Mhm,
they're right. Faces are really strong. I saw that. I made my faces bigger on my graphics because I
mhm,
think it
mhm.
really, 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 really makes a difference. Humans like faces. That's what we do. We're little chimpanzees. And
So Bill has a good question.
yeah,
He says the plexi might cause an echo. The reason I'm thinking of the plexiglass panels is that in Roots Tech 1, 2, and 3, they had an enclosed area, like the size of a small room. And initially, uh, this was Family Search's area at the Media Hub, separate from where all the us Media Hub people hung out. And there was a guy there that ran the camera and another guy that ran the mixing board. Well, you don't need a mixing board and a guy running the camera. That you can do it with your phone. And I think at one
curtains.
point I had to move the tripod, which was all of like $15, one that would hold my camera. I had to move it because somebody was coming through with we had a lot of people with mobility issues like old Mert here has, and I just wanted to make it easier. And I didn't even think about the video. I wanted that person to be safe. So it was a
Yeah.
little wiggly, but that's okay because you guys know that we're doing the best on our content and you wouldn't want that person to be hurt. So
No,
I
no.
moved it.
Well, also, good point about the Plex creating echoes, but
It
also
didn't.
fabric, simple
Yeah.
fabric curtains go a long way to absorb any kind of noise to that. But the activity behind you says where you are. It
Yeah.
establishes context, and I think that's important too. You could
So
see people walking around and behind and the video behind you. That was the context for where this conversation is happening. I know it's affecting the speakers. Now I understand what they're saying. It's part of the process.
So it was mostly me that heard it and not
Oh
you
yeah.
guys out there. That
Nope.
my microphone, my $9 microphone is good enough. All
Yep.
right, so I will have to send a note to myself, or maybe my cousin Jennifer will send me an email to remind me to do a blog post about what equipment did Mert use to
Actually,
record these.
we'll talk. I think this is a project recipe. I do. You could
Okay.
also write your post. But because I think
Well,
that
okay.
it you can also recirculate the recipe.
All right.
But the point is that the point of these recipes, from my view, is to say, I did this thing, and here's exactly how I did this thing. And if I were to do it again, these are the things that I would do differently and improve on it. Because it says that it is not always perfect. It is not exactly the best thing. There are always improvements, just like a recipe, that we're all building on and learning from. And here's a for instance. I did a project recipe in 2024, I think, about a private podcast that basically said, hey, guess what? You can use your Substack to they didn't even have live streaming yet, for these accounts and make
Yeah.
it private and then do blah, blah, blah. Here's how to do it because I was figuring it out for myself. Now, a whole bunch of that stuff, that project recipe is a little bit out of date, but the concept remains the same. It's like saying, you know what? Let's make a
Mhm.
strawberry cake.
Mhm.
And no, you don't want to cook a strawberry cake, but here's what you would do. Oh, I got a better idea. How about if you did that with cherries? Or I don't know, making it up again. But the
Mhm.
point
I
is,
get the
it's
point.
jazz hands, just build on it and
Alright,
go
we'll
from
do it.
there.
We'll do it. I gotta tell you, my daughter's coming in downtown. We have a restaurant downstairs. She said, "Mom, we'll make it easier for you." And I need to go. Well, actually, I
You'd
need to
go.
lay down for about 5 minutes if I can, and so that I'll be a cheerful grandma for my grandchildren that are coming.
And
This
we
is
have
what I
another
love about
session. Bill is coming up next. Bill and Kyla's
Okay.
excellent adventure coming up in 15,
I love it.
14. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay.
All right,
I
everybody, you
love
get
you
some
all.
rest. We'll be right online
Thank
there,
you.
Bill, and I appreciate it all. Big hugs.
Okay,
The ride
bye.
along.
Thank you.
Take care now.